Hey, everybody. How are you doing on this fine Thursday evening? I am your host, Peter Brown, as always. Thanks for jumping in on Midweek Live. We're doing something a little bit different this week. We're broadcasting on YouTube and on Facebook at the same time. So wherever you're watching, jump into the chat room and let's start chatting back and forth. Judge Dredd, I see, is already in. So welcome, Judge. Whether you're watching on Facebook or whether you're watching on YouTube, we should be able to get your chats, and we'll throw those in the mix as well today. We're going to talk, as you saw in the thumbnail, there's some new funds rumors out there that we're going to talk a little bit about, and of course we've got a guest tonight that we're going to talk with in just a minute. But before we do, let's give a big thank you to our sponsor, and that is Caneswear. So if you haven't gone to caneswear.com yet, go to caneswear.com, use promo code FMTV25. If you're planning on buying anything Inter Miami, that's where you should go, and support a local business. 25% off. It's a pretty good deal. And anything that you buy over $99 will ship for free. So pretty good. So go support those that are supporting us, and let's get right to it. And welcome on a guy that's he's been covering MLS for quite a while, and I know he's up in New York at one point, but back down here in South Florida, back home. And let's welcome. I'm trying to do this with multiple things going on at the same time, but let's welcome Franco Panizo, senior writer for Soccer by Ives, SBIsoccer.com. If you don't go to that website, you should. And also, he's a member of a podcast, Miami Total Football. How you doing tonight, Franco?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I hope I didn't butcher your intro too much.
No. I was gonna actually say you actually got the pronunciation of my name down pat. Usually people come up with Panzio or Panzine. People just get it all wrong. So yeah, you actually did a very good job on that. So 2 thumbs up for the intro. I mean, you've had some practice. I've been on different iterations of this show throughout the years. So,
yep.
If we go back to roll the tape, maybe the first one wasn't so good, but no, good job, brother.
and with me, you never know, because I'm kind of known for screwing up everybody's name here. I mean, I butcher everybody's name, so I mean, it's it's kind of what I do. So
there's worse things to do out there.
Yeah, when I see these broadcasters, like last week on the weekend, we talked to Phil Shane, talking to him, and he prides himself on being able to pronounce everybody's name. We didn't even go down that path with him, but I'm horrible at that.
Eric Krakauer, my podcast mate on Miami Total Football, on the first episode we did, he mispronounced my last name, and he even made it a running thing for the second episode. He was like, "Oh, I mispronounced your name last time." So yeah, don't worry. Even if you had gotten it, slightly wrong, you'd be in good company.
All right, there we go. That's good. Well, there's thanks for doing some good writing recently on Soccer by Ives, and it's given us something to talk about, right? So you've been writing a few different stories, some of them about Inter Miami, but there was actually one before we even get into Inter Miami. You wrote something today that I thought maybe we should talk about, and I'm actually going to bring that article up on the screen for everybody else to see it. But it's U.S. Soccer. They've have been approved for. It's the wrong page, but let's bring this one up. They've been approved for some COVID-19 government money. They've gotten a loan from the government, because they are a small business. That's that's
I guess small business is defined. That article is defined by less than 500 employees. So I guess that's how they qualify, not necessarily in the financial aspect of small. I know that some people were confused about that terminology there, but I believe it's for companies or businesses that have less than 500 employees, which is why they qualify for that loan that they've been approved for.
So do you have any idea of what their plans are? I mean, obviously, we've read that, and I think you mentioned in your article that they've laid off several people. So do you have any idea of have they laid out any kind of plan? Are they planning on bringing those people back now that they're going to get funded by the government to some extent? And how much are they getting? Do we know?
So the part of the loan, in order for them to not have to pay it back, there's just certain guys that have to fall under, and they have to essentially pay salaries with it, rent, things like that. It's not money that they could just invest wherever they want. I mean, I guess they could, but then they'd be on the hook for having to pay it back. Guidelines in there for them to have to just it's for COVID-19. It's meant for dealing with the current situation that everyone's trying to deal with. So it'll just be in terms of salary for employees, trying to keep everyone or trying to keep things as normal as possible. It's not meant for them just to have money to tap into and try to do other things and try to get creative with it. It's meant just for keeping things as normal as possible.
All right. Well, I thought that was just a little interesting in that the company I work for, we've gone and applied for that same type of stuff as well. But we are technically a small company, and I just think of U.S. soccer as maybe not that small, but I guess they qualify. So that's good for soccer fans. I mean, our federation's gonna get a little financial backing, so I guess that's good.
Yeah, it's good for just the people working in there. Right. Obviously, that's the priority. That's the main thing that the relief fund and the relief loan and grant is for, is just to try to keep people working and without having to take that much pay or cuts or everything that's gone into it over the last few months.
All right, so let's talk about some Inter Miami stuff. I know that, like I said in the opening, you used to cover Red Bulls up in New York. Since we got a new team, you got to come back home where it's the weather's much better. You've jumped in with Inter Miami and started covering them on a day-to-day basis. You have a story that you put up, I think it was yesterday, about and here's and this is a name where I manage a group of Colombians, and so I asked them this morning, how do you say his name? Because I know it's not James, but it looks like James, but James Rodriguez. So tell us a little bit about this story that you wrote up possibly about getting James Rodriguez here in Miami.
Sure. So the story came out yesterday on goal.com saying that James Rodriguez, Colombian superstar, Real Madrid attacker, he's linked with Inter Miami. David Beckham has reached out to gauge the interest. James has not been an active player for Real Madrid. He's not been a big time player for them. He's kind of been on the outs for a few years now. So my story yesterday that I wrote was just, let's take a look at the situation. If this rumor is true, what does it mean? And I emphasize if very often throughout the article.
I noticed
with these transfer rumors, and as as anybody that's followed Inter Miami over the last few years, every big name gets linked to the clubs apparently. So I put the if for a very specific reason. I don't personally think that it's true. I don't think that James is going to be courted. There's so many reasons we can get into it if you'd like. But if, sports are unpredictable, crazy things happen all the time, things that you never think. So if he were to come, the article that I broke down just what he would mean for the city, what he would mean for the team, tactically, how it would all work out with Rodolfo Pizarro, all these things. But it was just just to keep the conversation going. What would it mean if this is realistic, even though it's probably not that realistic?
Yeah, I would imagine he's still got a lot of interest in Europe. I mean, even if Real Madrid is not interested in keeping him or what have you, he was playing at Bayern Munich and his loan spells is run out. So I'm sure there's plenty of interest in Europe for him. But so you're saying if it's true, are you doubting whether or not Beckham reached out to him? And with Beckham, it literally could be, hey, they just know each other.
Right. No, it could just be a casual conversation, right. Just reaching out. I mean, listen, I left, I'm a South Florida person. I left South Florida when I finished college at FAU to go cover soccer, MLS specifically, New York Red Bulls more specifically, in New Jersey and New York City, when I left college. So when I finished up with college, and I've seen these rumors. Back then, the Red Bulls were the team that was one of the two teams that was linked with all the big names. And it wasn't just, Thierry Henry who was already there. It was not just Rafa Marquez who was already there. It was just names would just pop up. And these kind of stories, I touch on it or I allude to it in the story. these kind of stories are as old as time. Oftentimes, and throughout the years, just talking to not only agents that are in MLS or technical directors, a lot of these stories that come out end up coming out, because either an agent overseas or a club overseas just kind of leaks this story to get it out there in the press because they have vested interest in that coming out publicly. And whether it's James's team and them looking to drive up his price so he can have bigger salary wherever he goes, or whether it's Real Madrid trying to push interest. I think that's more along the lines of what this is about. But again, this is just like my perception, my sensation. It's not any information that I have. It's just what I think, just based off of just kind of, it just doesn't make sense positionally,
right?
To bring him to Miami. I mean, obviously he'd be a home run in terms of the Colombian community, and he'd be that big superstar that obviously the team doesn't really have right now. But in terms of on the field, is it what they need exactly? Not really. Could they make it work? Possibly. But again, if you ask me, I don't think it's true. I don't think we'll see James in a Inter Miami jersey, anytime soon. But sports are unpredictable, man. You never know. Crazy things happen all the time.
Yeah, it would be fun. It would definitely light up the Colombian community down here. But yeah, they keep talking about needing a number 9, and he's not it, right? I mean, it wouldn't be the first. I guess I wonder, could they put him in a more advanced role than what he usually plays in? I mean, you could. It's happened before.
If you're gonna pay him the money that he's gonna require and do all that, you're gonna want to put him where he's best at, right? And I think I touched on in the articles where, if this was realistic and if this played out, they could move Pizarro out to one of the wings,
yeah,
and then just ride out with Julian Carranza, or they talked about this when Agustin Almendra, the center midfielder for Boca Juniors, was being linked with the team, and there was talks about that happening. Paul McDonough at one point said he could buy down the budget hit for one of the current DPs. He didn't say who.
Right.
Just reading between the lines and just kind of piecing it all together. It'd probably be Matias Pellegrini because he's the young DP, so his budget hit is lower. So you could probably drop that and have him still on the roster, and then free up a DP spot. So there is a crazy scenario where you could get like someone like James and then still go get a DP number 9 by buying down Pellegrini's budget hit. But again, that's the nook and cranny of MLS. So I think if James were to come, if James were to get signed, I think they'd put him where he's best at, so he could be most effective.
Sure. And you mentioned Almendra. Have you heard anything else about that? That was something we heard the signing was imminent. We kind of expecting, and then of course, the world stopped. So is it still likely to happen, or do you think something's changed?
I think something's changed. I think it's still very up in the air. Again, just everybody's situation right now across the board, and specifically when we're talking about soccer, football, everyone's just kind of in a wait and see hold pattern right now. So can he come here in 2 months? Is he moving on with his plans with his family in Argentina, or maybe making other plans? Everything's kind of just on hold right now. So there's nothing new to report there. Nothing that I've heard. And I have made calls here and there, not trying to do too much because obviously it's a sensitive time for everybody, but I have tried to reach out to a few people here and there. But as of right now, I haven't heard anything new besides that, everything's kind of on hold.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit as far as how this pandemic affects signing players. I mean, because just because it's the world stopped and the sports stopped doesn't mean their plans stop. So they still plan on getting their big name players. Do you think, and anything you've heard, that this whole global thing that we're all going through, does that stop players from being interested, wanting to come from whatever their comfort zone is? If they're comfortable in the country that they're in currently, maybe that's where they want to stay. Does this negatively affect bringing in some big name talent, that number 9, that next designated player that we want, even if it isn't until August or whenever whenever they can do it? How does this affect it?
So I wish I could give you a different answer, but just because of the situation we're in, everything's just kind of wait and see. It's like how do the players over in Europe, let's say it's a European number 9 or a European based number 9 that they're looking at,
right?
And if his contract's extended beyond June 30th because the European seasons aren't over, does that player say, all right, I'm going to finish out the season with my current team and then, look to make the move? Or, there's so many moving parts, there's so many unknowns, so many variables that still haven't been determined. So it's hard to actually, give you a better, more concrete answer as to how this affects things. I don't think it will hurt Inter Miami. I think Inter Miami has appeal, has said. I don't think that goes away just with this pause. I think if anything, it might help Miami get some more time and figure out exactly which direction it wants to go in, because it kind of seemed like they were in between two minds through different points. They said, we're going to have all 3 DPs by the start of the season. Then it was, okay, well, maybe now we'll wait till the summer. So it kind of seemed like they were still trying to figure out what the best plan of action was. And, maybe with this time they get to buy themselves a little bit of time to figure it out.
Yeah, I think, reality hit, is it's great to say you want all 3, but when it doesn't, the ones you're going after don't, materialize, I guess you have to go into plan B, which is, hey, I guess we can wait, which goes against everything they had said ahead of time. So, yeah, how do you think the pandemic and everything that we're going through, have you heard anything as far as the transfer window? Because that plays a big part in who Inter Miami may get. Do you think the transfer window changes because of this whole thing?
It might. Again, it kind of just goes back to the overall unknown. There's so many variables.
Well, it's all hypothetical now.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So, right now, as things are, the window's still open. The initial primary window for MLS. Secondary ones later on in the summer. MLS might have to change that. They may change that. Obviously, they're still just trying right now. MLS is trying to figure out how to resume the season, when to resume the season. And then I guess, once they know that, then they can go and figure out how does the secondary transfer window work? Do they open it longer? Do they even have one? All that has to be decided first before they can figure out, what the transfer window rules will be or guidelines will be. And again, this is so many moving parts. It's difficult really to give you a better answer. I wish I could. I wish I had more information to give you, but trust me, I'm looking, man. I've been reaching out. I've been trying to get the info, but obviously there's just a lot to be figured out.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's tough right now. It's trying to find content, trying to find whether it be for Soccer by Eyes or whether it be here on Futbol Miami TV. It's a challenge to find content, but what we're doing here is at least we're giving.
I've heard numbers are down across the board for anybody involved with the MLS. I don't think anybody's gone the other way.
Right.
And really, maybe you guys, because I know you guys have been staying pretty busy. So, but across the board, I've heard people close and within the MLS realm, they're either clubs or the league. I've heard numbers are down across the board as you would expect.
Oh, no, yeah. Here on FMTV, our numbers are down just like everybody else's. But what we've been focusing on is doing more of these live things so that we're building the community and giving people a break from reality, and they can all just talk sports, and even if it's nonsense or just trying to guess a little bit. So that's kind of what we're doing today. But you're always writing some good stuff. So and speaking about that, guys, if you're in the chat and you want to jump in, throw your questions in, and we'll talk about them, or comments or what have you. I know there was one comment in here about we should just here it is. Keep Jason V said keep the focus on Cavani. So forget about James. Let's just let's focus on getting Cavani. That's what he thinks.
Well, yeah. Hey, man, and they've said they want a number 9. They need a number 9.
He'd be a good one.
So yeah, he's definitely. I wrote a piece at one point during the initial break. I think of when the coronavirus break started for MLS. I think I wrote a piece with five forwards that Inter Miami should look at. He was definitely in those 5. I think I also had Luis Suarez, Radamel Falcao, Colombian striker. Carlos Vaca. I'm trying to remember who the 5th one was. I don't remember, but I'll look back and get you that answer. But I definitely did a list of top 5 strikers that Inter Miami should look at. Again, just trying to create some content, create some conversation. Yeah. Obviously, the time when things kind of hit a wall.
So we all want MLS to get back into action. We saw you also wrote something about the German league trying to get back. I think it was May 9th. I think they're hoping for. Of course, it's a lot of that has to do with the government and all that stuff. But and we know that in MLS there's a training moratorium. I think it's till the end of April. But in all honesty, I mean, we're probably not looking at getting back to MLS till June or August. Are you hearing anything?
It's probably going to be summertime. Best case scenario right now, it's probably going to looking like June, and that's best case scenario. Just because of obviously teams have been away from the field for so long now, so they'd have to get back. Like Diego Alonso has said when there was conference call, initially once this all began. If this takes a while, they're going to need preseason, another type of preseason, at least a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks to get back in shape and in form. You don't want to risk injury and all that. So that's going to take 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Let's say early May, they're like, all right, we can get back to training. That's going to take, till the end of May. And then by the time they get the games and stuff going again, it'll be June. So I would say best case, middle of June. I would probably say, given how things are going right now, and I've been on the optimistic side as this thing has gone along, and obviously things keep getting pushed back.
Yeah.
But if you ask me right now here on the show, I would say late June, early July at best.
And, for those that watch the show, it's no shock. I'm a huge Disney fan. And so I'm watching a lot of what Disney's doing. They're a big company. They're going to lead the way in the state in a lot of ways as far as opening back up for business. And something that they've been talking about is that, and they threw out some questions to some of their fans and some of their pass holders and stuff like that. Universal did the same thing. So something that I thought that could apply to soccer is that when we assume that the first few games, at least few, maybe even more, will probably be closed door matches, right? And so when they finally allow fans back into the stadium, Disney is talking about checking people's temperature at the when you're they check your bags. So not only will they check your bags, they will check your temperature, and they may require you to wear a mask. They may the park efficiency or the amount of people allowed in the park may be about 50% of what normally is allowed. How do you think MLS is going to handle that? And of course, it may be different in every state, because every state, California is going to be a lot more strict than Florida is. At least it looks like it. So when we are finally allowed to go back into the stadium, what do you think it's going to look like?
Well, when that's allowed, it's like you said, it's going to probably be a while.
Right.
I don't know, man. I really don't know. Are they going to be able to do like stadiums at capacity, or are they going to have to reduce capacity and only, let a certain amount of fans in?
And how do you do that?
How do you do that?
When you already sold the tickets. Yeah,
it's obviously a big mess that's still trying to be figured out. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I don't know what you do or how you do it. It's looking pretty clear that Inter Miami's first home game will be without fans. I mean, the only way that doesn't happen is if this season is canceled. Practically, right. That's the only way I could see it be. And it's such a bummer because there was a lot of energy, a lot of momentum, a lot of excitement. I saw you with your family from afar at the open training.
Yeah.
And they were so close. It was so close from that dream becoming a reality. And 2 days before, obviously the announcement's made and the season's put on hold, which is a bummer. But obviously safety and the health of everyone was taken into consideration and prioritized, which obviously is understandable. But obviously, if anybody that's been in the South Florida community has been waiting for so long to see that first home game, obviously a rough bit of news there. But I don't know, man. I don't know how they figure that out. I don't know how they open it up and refunds are probably going to have to be part of this whole thing to people that have bought individual tickets. Season tickets, I guess there's more flexibility with what you can do, whether it goes towards the next season if
right.
you're interested in that and all that. Obviously, the Inter Miami and all front offices across the league are going to have to figure that out and get creative. But they're probably going to have to shell some money back. They're not going to be able to keep it all. If obviously all games aren't played and people buy tickets for games, The good thing for Miami compared to maybe other teams is that they only sold tickets for the first 3 home games in terms of individual tickets. They didn't open up all the home games for tickets to be bought where, other teams usually do that. So in terms of refunding individual tickets, they only have a few games to work with or to have to do that for if, it comes down to that.
Yeah, but
if it's the key word, if it's the big word here.
Yeah, I just think it's an interesting thought as far as how sports, not just soccer, but how sports is going to change. Because anytime we go through something, the landscape changes. After 9/11, things changed, and it's never gone back exactly the way it was. Right. So, people said they wouldn't fly. Eventually they flew. But obviously security got ramped up. So now we're going to go through this. And once they do allow games to fans in the stands, do they want to come back? And then if they do want to come, how is it going to change? Are we, like I said, are we going to be forced to wear masks? Are they going to hold up that little thermometer thing to your forehead like they do in China and stuff like that? These are all, I think it's going to be interesting because putting 80,000 people in an NFL stadium might not be the best idea moving forward. But we got these stadiums and people want to go to see these games. And like we said, here in South Florida, so many of us have been working towards it and dreaming of it for so long. It just, I'm going to go no matter what. I'll wear a mask if they want. Hey, look, I already ordered my Inter Miami mask. I saw that it was on MLSstore.com. I already ordered it. I'm ready. So
you got the face mask with the logo on it.
Uh-huh.
I saw those. I think there's going to be more sanitary measures that will be taken. But again, it gets very interesting. Obviously the supporters group culture and jumping up and down and excited and taking your shirt off and doing all that. How does all that get affected? And how do you do that without changing the dynamic of the passion and everything that a supporters group, and like we've seen through the Inter Miami's 3 main supporters groups, how do you operate with that without changing the dynamic and affecting it too much? A lot of interesting questions that people of a higher pay scale will be obligated to make. So I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see. It's definitely a bummer. For any sports fan, any soccer fan, that obviously this hits, and things will probably change, at least in the short term, even once the games get back rolling.
Yeah, I agree. But that's, to me, that's part of the fun of sports talk, is guessing these kind of things and talking about it. Yeah. And here, Jason Weiss also says, let's pull that comment up, that he's okay with closed doors matches for now, as long as we can get back to some semblance of normal life. Yeah, we just want to at least be able to watch it on TV, right? And some other people, like he says here, watching games on TV is better than none at all. Right. So
I know. Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I agree 100%. And I like you mentioned earlier, the Bundesliga is looking to start May 9th if they get government approval.
Right.
And they're talking about, having the players tested frequently and, obviously limiting who goes into the stadium on game days. I think the number was up to 300 people will have to be at a venue for a match day. And that's without fans. So that's just teams, it's just players, coaches, medical staff, TV production people, referees, ball boys, ball girls, and things of that nature. But there's obviously very strict guidelines that will be put in place if the Bundesliga can resume in early May. And I think if they do return in early May and they can manage this fairly well, I think other leagues will maybe not exactly, but other teams will follow suit in terms of how to take that approach and how to maybe try to get back to playing games. So I think that the Bundesliga, if they can get going, I think everyone will kind of try to see how they manage it, how things go, and try to maybe copy or be as similar as possible to their approach.
I think here in the States, what we may end up watching is how the NBA handles it, right? They were the first one out. Maybe they come back, or maybe they just end their season because they were a lot further along in their season. But it'll be interesting to see what the other sports leagues in this country, how baseball handles it, because they're about ready to come back. So that'll be interesting. I don't want to hold you all night. We do keep these shows a little shorter, but we were talking about players, and so where did it go? Here is put this one up on the screen. Boricua, there. That's me screwing up names. PK,
Boricua, bro, Boricua.
but Boricualano, though he put the Lano in the end.
Oh, Boricuano. I think I know who this is.
Okay. All right. Well,
so he's actually if it's who I think it is, Boricuano. It would be when I moved to New Jersey to cover the Red Bulls.
Yeah.
He was my roommate's cousin, and his name's Herbert. We get along well. He's actually lives in Florida now. I think he's in West Palm Beach. If I might be mistaken on that, but he's now a Floridian. And I still, keep in touch with him and my old roommates who are still in Jersey, who are still Red Bull fans. But he jokingly says all the time that he's like leaving the Red Bulls and he's going to join Inter Miami supporters group. All that he says it all the time. It's a running joke that we have in the group message.
All right. Well, his question is, because he says that PK's kids, they speak English, and we know Shakira loves Miami. So, what do you think about PK potential face of the franchise?
PK as a potential face of the franchise, I don't think that'll
That's what your buddy
happen.
is asking.
MLS puts a premium on signing DPs in the attack that can create goals or score goals. So I don't think, obviously be a hit in terms of the press and that non-soccer press in Miami, and the casual fan would love to see PK and Shakira and the star power that they bring and just the attention that they bring, not only on the field but off the field. But I don't think Inter Miami will shell out cash for a center back, as popular as he may or may not be, just because obviously, again, there's a premium with there being limited designated player spots on it being in the attacking spots. So I don't think they'll do the center back. But hey, if they can find a way to make him a TAM player, just sell him living in Miami and living on South Beach, then hey, maybe it's possible. I mean, Shakira might be like, well, I was in Miami for the Super Bowl and it's amazing, so let's just do it. Screw it, and then there you go. So,
yeah.
I don't see him being the face of the franchise anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't want to defend her as a face. Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah. I've seen you've seen other teams sign some DP defenders on very rare occasions, and I never like that. I want you want to spend your money in the attack for sure. So. And we've got some people that are all over the place watching them from Mexico or Mexican fans, a Colombian, Venezuela, and everybody from everywhere from people from all over watching tonight. So thanks so much, everybody.
The Latinos are out.
The Latinos are out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Watching this gringo here, but we also for those Latinos, we also started doing the Spanish version of this type of show. So we did that on Tuesday night. So check out Tuesday evenings, and we'll do the Spanish shows, and I'm just in the background pushing buttons on that one. And
I am. I know Uncle couldn't be here, but I'm bummed he's not on. I was looking forward to talking to him. I had a funny story to share about him.
Please do.
I'll save it. No, I feel bad doing it without him here. I ran into him in LA. Before the game, before kickoff. For the season opener against LAFC. And I talked to him, and he was with a cousin, and we caught up and just talked for a little bit, just about the excitement. I even told him, I was like, you know what, man, we started talking about the jerseys, and I was like, I'm not a huge fan of the home jersey. The white is just all white with like very little pink, but I was like, but I love the detail with the freedom to dream, with the nod to you guys, Southern Legion, pushing. That's why it's blue. I gave him props for that. And then the following week, I went to America's Got Soccer in Fort Lauderdale, right? Where the Legion had their watch party.
Yeah, I was there.
My family are all season ticket holders, so we went to watch the game, and I ran into Uncle Ed there again, and he was like, "Hey, I haven't seen you." I saw you there too, right? So he's like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a while." I was like, "Bro, I saw you last week. What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Oh yeah."
He was drunk.
I was really drunk. I was like, dang, you don't even remember talking to me? I mean, he didn't look drunk at all when I spoke to him in LA, but funny story, funny little anecdote there. For hopefully Uncle doesn't hate me for that.
No. We make fun of each other all the time. That's a professional drunk right there when you can't tell.
Yeah, no, I mean, I had no idea. I was talking to his cousin too. Because his cousin is from LA, was
Right.
living in LA. But yeah, it was good. And it's good to talk to you guys again. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, talk to you guys throughout the years when I was up in New Jersey and in New York. And I remember back in the days we used to do it through Blog Talk Radio,
Yep.
and you guys it was just a dream. It was just a dream, and you guys would ask me questions, similar hypothetical, like, oh, what will happen if there's a Miami team and a Fort Lauderdale team? But there was no MLS team on the horizon coming, and it was all just still an idea. Now that idea is a reality, which was nice to see for a couple of weeks. Now we're just kind of on hold,
And we're back to hypothetical,
which is the rough part, man. Because even my family, my friends here, like I came back down because I wanted to always be home. I always wanted to return to South Florida, be home. I love South Florida. I love the weather, the people, the culture. This is just home for me, and I always had the idea that I'd come back eventually. So when the opportunity came up, I was like, all right, I gotta go for this. As much as New York is great, I lived in Manhattan for several years, and it was an awesome experience. But there's no place like South Florida to me. So I had to come back, and I've seen the excitement my friends have, my family's had, the people have had, you guys have had, and there was so much excitement, and then just for it to kind of come crashing to a halt because of all this is disappointing. But it'll make it that much sweeter when it does return and fans are able to get back in the stadium, and I think everybody will enjoy it that much more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little easier to take now because we know it's coming back. It's not. Are we going to get a team? Garber keeps telling us all these things. Is he going to mention our name in the halftime of the All-Star game or the MLS Cup? It's all those little things that we were all hanging on a thread listening for. Now we know it's going to come back, so it's a little easier to wait. And, but it is kind of funny how just like nothing has been easy for this franchise, whether it be getting a stadium or just being announced, or, how many times Marcelo Clore tried to bring this here. And so it's never been easy, but it'll be all that much better once we finally get there. But Franco, tell everybody how they can follow you and read everything, and then also about your podcast.
Yeah. So I'm at Franco Panizo, FrancoPanizo, on Twitter. Obviously I tweet out my stories there, my takes, anything I hear that maybe doesn't make it into a story. But if it does make it into a story, then I'll tweet it out, as well. That's my Twitter. Obviously my articles that I write go on sbisoccer.com. It's a website dedicated to soccer. We obviously specialize in American soccer, so MLS, U.S. national team. Since I'm down here now, focused a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, and a lot of my writing towards Inter Miami, covering Inter Miami. So I was doing player ratings and all these things when the season was happening, just to give people something different, give people something to talk about. Whether you agree with my ratings or think they're absolute crap, just to give people different type of coverage. But like you said, I've also, as when I came down, I was like, you know what, I'm not just going to do writing. I'm going to do some video work, which I've never done before. So I was doing a little bit of video hits on Twitter, which I was planning to, also do towards YouTube. And I did that for a little bit before, obviously, this break. And I started a podcast. It is Miami Total Futbol, Futbol, just like you guys, or in Spanish, Miami Total Futbol, with a buddy, Eric Krakauer, beIN Sports commentator. Met him up in New York when he was still living. We were both living there. Met him at NYCFC games. We created a great relationship. He ended up moving down here for the job at beIN. And now we're doing it weekly. We're doing it every Tuesday morning, dropping an episode to analyze the weekend and preview the upcoming game. Obviously, that's on a bit of a break. We were trying to figure out, maybe like you guys are, trying to keep it somewhat regularly during this time. People are obviously looking to consume some sort of content, some sort of conversation, but it's obviously a little bit more difficult.
Just got to get creative.
Eric has a growing family, and he's in Aventura. I'm here in Coral Springs, so it's gotten a little bit tricky for us. And obviously, we want to do a little bit more news oriented.
Sure.
So it's gotten tricky in that regard. But we have a couple ideas. So it's on Apple Podcasts, which was formerly iTunes, on Spotify. And that's something we're really looking to push. We were actually seeing some pretty interesting numbers early on. Unfortunately, we're at a halt now, but
sure.
We're brainstorming some ideas to bring it back, and different ways to provide, the community and the soccer fans, anybody that's an Inter Miami follower, some interesting stuff to really follow and listen to. And so stay tuned, because I think Miami Total Football, that's my pet project. I like writing, but I want to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I think, covering Inter Miami was the opportunity for me to do it. And we were doing it. We were starting to do it. But I want to get back into it a little bit more. And especially once things get back to normal, or as close back to normal as possible.
Yeah, great. I mean, more content, the better. I mean, as many podcasts that could be out there, as many video shows like us that can be out there. The more content, the better. So I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. And might be doing a raffle soon on Miami Total Football's Instagram handle.
Okay.
It's Miami_Total_football. Again, that's the Instagram handle. Might be doing some raffles soon, just of my Inter Miami gear, just to get people excited again and kind of get them talking about Inter Miami again and feeling that fervor and all that. So if you're an Inter Miami follower, you want some free gear, you might see something on Inter Miami from Inter Miami on our Instagram feed soon. I've actually been to Caneswear as a result of you guys. I know Jeff pretty well, so gotten a couple things there. You might see that soon on the Miami Total Football Instagram feed soon.
Great. Yeah. Go to everybody. That's a great reminder. Go to caneswear.com and use FMTV25 as your code. And once the store opens up, you guys are going to love the store if you haven't been there. They've got a huge selection. So definitely check it out.
It's real cool.
Yeah.
It's real cool. Honestly, it's real cool. I went with my brother. I think the day they announced that the season was to a halt, I was like, all right, I wrote my story and I was like, oh, I guess I got nothing else to write for now. I was like, and they're probably going to close this store soon. So I was like, let's go. Like, I called my brother, picked them up, and we went. And I mean, just the selection they have is pretty cool. Obviously the jerseys, shorts, everything, all types of different things. If you're an Inter Miami fan, that's the place to go.
All right, yeah, and you would never expect it with a name like Canes, where you would never expect to see Inter Miami stuff, but they do have a great selection. So, hey, Franco, thanks so much for spending some time with us. Everybody that's watching, thank you for joining in the conversation. It's fairly active in the chat. If I didn't get to it, I'm sorry. It's hard to do everything when I'm by without Ed, right? But he
jack of all trades over there.
Yeah, I'm the producer. I've got lighting, got everything going on here. But I think I saw some steam come out of your head at one point there. Isn't that light in the background? Yeah, but. Hey, if you haven't gone to our website, go to footballmiamitv.com, where you could find our podcast, which is just the audio version of this, and it's also on all the other platforms as well, everybody. So any platform you could think of, it's there. So go check it out. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe. Go check out Franco's work over at Soccer by Ives, sbisoccer.com, and also watch his or listen to his podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, Franco. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We will see you guys on Sunday.
Thanks for having me on, brother. See you soon.